you have your 4 washers. You're going to use these as spacers between the base of the motor and the arm. So we're going to put 2 in, and you have to find the holes, line them up with the bolt, put the bolt through them, and then down through the base of the motor. Take a nut and lightly screw it down. You don't want to tighten it up. Just a finger tight on the bolt. We'll do all our tightening down later. Okay, first 2 screws are in. The second 2 screws are a little bit more tricky. Slide them in and try and catch them with the bolt. And once you get the bolt through, put your nut on and washer. Tighten it down. So now you have 2 screws in the front, and the bolt goes right through the center of the washers, or 2 washers through the front, and the bolt goes through it, and 2 washers in the back. Now you're going to tighten those down, and you're using a 1/2 inch wrench to do so. You want to use the second 1/2 inch wrench, hold the top of the bolt, and get that one tightened down. Same thing, hold the top, tighten it down. Now you're going to find that there's probably going to be a space in your joint. This is where the set screw that goes in here is loose, and you're going to manipulate the joint, push it together so it locks together. You'll still get a little space most likely, but it won't be a big gap. Once you've pushed the 2 together, you're going to tighten down the set screw using a
7/64.
7/64. There you go. So now we're done with this side. Now we're going to go to the other side, and we're going to do some adjustment over there, because once we've done this, we've actually made spacing on the other end of the leader, and we have to fill that gap. Now we're down at the left side of the table, and as you can see, there's a big gap in your leader bar, and if we don't fill that gap, it's going to walk left and right on you, and that's going to cause your joint to come undone, and it's a big mess. So we want to fill it up. So again, we have 4 more washers that we're going to slide in there. So you're really going to need a total of about 8 washers. And then we're going to take the pillar block, set it back on, and stick our bolts through each end. Put your washers and nuts on the bottom. Keep in mind when you're doing this that this table took 4 washers. You might take 3, you might take 2, you might take 5. So be flexible. Go to Lowe's, buy about 10 washers. They're very reasonable. You'll have enough, and the job will be less frustrating for you. And once we get this tightened down, we actually have our Fabric Advance completely installed. And all that's left to do is a little trim work on it. Now that we have the Fabric Advance all installed, we're back down on the original end because I want to clarify what you have down here. This is your little power box, and this is an on-off switch right here, and there's a very low lamp in your light that tells you if you're on and off. I can never see mine, but up is on, down is off. And then there's also a second switch which allows you to advance and take up and take down your system. So back, rolls it up, forward, releases the canvas. But we rarely use that. I actually leave my Fabric Advance on all the time unless there's going to be some storms. Then I unplug it from the wall. Because what you're going to use is your foot pedal. The foot pedal is a dual foot pedal, left actually raises or rolls up the canvas, and right releases the canvas. So I'm going to show you on this little quilt that I have here. Left rolls it up, right releases it. Now, when you're going to actually advance your quilt, you will do just as you normally have done in the past. You'll come to the front, you'll release your ratchet, pick it up, step on, roll up your quilt, and you'll see that your front bar will roll with you. When you've rolled it up sufficiently, you're just going to come over here, throw your ratchet back down, tighten up however much you need. You can also use your Fabric Advance to just get little nudges for quilting, which I find very handy. Now the last thing we're going to do is John's going to cover the joint with some blue painter tape, because that way you're not looking at the little gaps that come in that little connection periodically and worrying over them. Nothing to worry about. So we're just going to take a little piece of blue painter's tape, and he's going to just use the machine, his Fabric Advance, to roll it around, get it on, tears it off, finishes winding it up, and you have a nice cover over your joint. And that's really all there is to it. So now you have your Fabric Advance complete.